How the kindergarten teachers do it? Oh, clap? Okay. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, good morning, everybody. We have a fairly packed morning, and we want to get through some things. Just a little bit of business stuff that we got to take care of. Some people to recognize, and we'll go from there and get into our presentation, which we're looking forward to that. I know everybody else is. So anyway, first off, is there anybody here that, like a newer agent or something that has not been to our breakfast before? If you are, stand up, please.
Stand up,
More staff that hasn't been, yeah, we have new staff. Yes. These are new breakfast.
We need names.
Should we get names real quick? See, that's Moko.
Megan. Emily.
That was it?
Kendall.
Oh, there you are. There. I knew you were here. I couldn't like the camouflage in. All right. Yeah, anyway, so what we want to do here is a little snapshot here. Just wanted to. I don't know if anybody else gets. This is from Les Solgrove. I don't know how many of you know him, but he tracks. He's a stat guy. And so every month he puts this out, and this is a quick synopsis of what's going on. And as you can see, for all properties, it's starting to even up. It's starting to get into that balanced market. And you can see in the resale properties, of course, it's still pretty strong into the seller's market. But in the new construction market, you can see it's swung clear over into the buyer's market because we have inventory. Now, make sure you understand that new construction at the upper level is like that. New construction that you're doing now at the mid-levels is not like that. So pricing is everything. We have just some information here. Our inventory is going up. It's as high as it's been in, I think, 3 or 4 years that our inventory levels are up. So that actually is a good thing. The more balanced our market is, the more sustainable our market is. So it's a good thing to get here, and understanding how to work in this market is of great importance. And we'll be doing training on that as we move forward. Michelle's got all kinds of training that we're doing that helps with the market now, what's going on. So stay tuned for those things. But it's always good to have an awareness of this, of what's going on in the marketplace, because if you know, you will beat out about, 80% of your competitors. They won't know that. So be aware, okay? And then, thank you. And then to move right along, Andy, you wanted to just get up and say, Andy from HMS Home Warranty.
Yeah, so as the market does shift a little bit more into a buyer's market, always a good idea to put seller's coverage on. The warranty is free to the seller until the home closes, and then it begins a year of coverage. So as it gets there, it's one way to differentiate your listing by including the HMS warranty. We are also recruiting vendors. As usual, if you know of anybody that you've worked with recently that has done a good job, I would appreciate you forwarding their information on to me so I'd give them a call and see if they'd be a good fit. I don't really have anything else. You guys are kicking butt. Appreciate the business, and if you have any questions about our coverage or warranty in general, just give me a call anytime.
Thank you. Shane.
All right, I wanted to do a quick introduction. We're doing something a little different now. Who can't hear me? Okay. We're doing something a little different now. We have on a regular basis different lenders, different vendors that are suggested to us. So we actually have a program that we've come up with that we send out to give people the opportunity to sponsor either exclusively or co-sponsor events. So for our breakfast, Legacy Bank has signed on to sponsor our breakfast for the year. So I wanted to introduce Mike Kempfill from Legacy Bank, and then he can introduce his guys and gals. I think Andy was here somewhere. Real quick before we move on.
Hey, Mike Kinfield, Legacy Bank. I know you guys have a lot going on today, so throughout these breakfasts, we'll have some information for you guys that we think you'll find important and helpful. I have Jeb Rich here, Mindy Dirksen. She's also our Spanish-speaking realtor. Greg Gibb is on his way, and if you guys have any questions or need any help with the lending side, we'd be glad to help you out. But we'll be presenting some things going forward with these breakfasts. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a quick announcement. First of all, thanks everybody for coming. I just have a few notes I want to read off here. Ever since the beginning of this company, it's been our goal to keep adding support and services to make your lives easier. I'm sorry, I'll speak up. That's the way it's always been. That's the way it always will be. So the first announcement I'd like to make, we've done some pretty remarkable things this year, as you guys all know, starting the school, the training, adding support and staff. And now, again, there's no more continuing ed fees for you as agents, and that's a wonderful thing. Hope you guys all can are excited about that. But in addition to that, we're going to announce we're no longer charging for printing. Black and white, double-sided, front and back, print your little hearts out. All right, you'll no longer be charged.
Hopefully real estate related.
Yeah, real estate related. Real estate related. Yeah, right. So that's good news. That's the little relief from you guys, and I know we, as agents, we get nickeled and dimed to death from DMAR and Iowa. So it's just one more thing you don't get charged. I hope that helps. But now, in order to provide these services, effective January 1st, 2019, we are going to raise our $325 fee to $50 and our buyer's admin fee. I know that's a fee we push on to our clients, not a fee to your guys', and that's just our goal, is not to raise your fees. We never have. Our goal is to never do that. That's something we take seriously. So in order not to do that, that's what we're doing. And again, January 1st, and that's any listings or sales after January 1st, not closing into the new year. Anything you write in 2018, the fees will be the same. That's all I have.
And real quick too, by raising those fees, we are still very, very, very competitive with any other brokerage. And like Matt said, just to clarify, that is, to your buyers, to your sellers, and $50 is very nominal. So.
Yep. All right. That's all I have.
Did you, anything else? No? Okay, good. All right, appreciate that. And so, this is Safety Month. We take this extremely seriously. We have always done that, and we're striving to be as the best we can possibly be in the excuse you. Oh, rough night. Anyway, so we do take safety seriously. We want all of our agents to be safe. We want you to pay attention and do the right thing. There is no such thing as a sale that is worth taking a chance, okay? So with that anyway, our director of safety at the DMAR level, Jen Stanbro, is going to visit with you for a moment.
Today. Promotion and claps. Can't hear me? Thanks for all for coming. They tell me this is our most well-attended breakfast, so thank you very much for that. I'm super excited for you guys to hear our speaker, Carl, in just a few minutes later today. And I bet you guys are all super excited to listen to me for a few minutes, because when I get up here and talk to you guys at breakfast, what am I talking about? Safety, the super exciting topic that you guys all like to hear about. And I know that Honestly, how many of you, when I start talking about safety, start checking your phones, start thinking, that would not happen to me, this doesn't really pertain to me, I'm a guy, I'm safe, I only work with clients that I know. You start playing Fortnite on your phone, tune out like my kids do, and hear wah, 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 wah. But, again, it is important, and it's something that you're going to hear me talk about over and over and over. This is a little bit harder for me today than it is sometimes. I'm really good at those of you that know me well. I do a really nice job of keeping things in a box and not dealing with emotions or not being vulnerable. And this coming up and having a chance to talk with Carl and talk a little bit about his story and what happened with his mom has just kicked up some emotions of stuff that I like to keep hidden in a box. So bear with me if it's a little bit of a struggle, but in all honesty, I was in the business for 5 years before I thought anything about safety. Wouldn't happen to me, small town girl. Yeah, I will go and I'll Pop-Tart, I'll get in. Anybody remember the Iowa Realty leads that come through the website and they say, go meet at this vacant house? I met tons of people in vacant houses, would realize that I was in a basement with people I did not know, and the stairs were on the opposite side of where I was, and they were in the midst of that. It would never happen to me. It would never happen to anyone I know. It would never happen in Iowa. We live in Iowa, right? Until the day that it did. We all have significant dates that we remember in our lives. So a couple of fun things. What happened, and this might be crowd participation, so anyone know of what happened July 2nd, 2005? Anyone have anything? Okay, let's do it again. Anyone know November 22nd, 1963? JFK is shot in Dallas. We did the nice picture.
Hey, real quick, Jen, I'm gonna expect a lot of anniversary presents. This probably
June 21st, 2010. Anyone have anything?
Is that Ashley? She's looking now. She's looking.
Did you have a kid born? November 6, 1860. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in our own Lance Hansen.
He was there at the inauguration.
March 18th, 2007. This one was maybe a little give or take. The date may have been off. That one places 7th and Martin.
7th? What?
He was also the stunt double for the movie Cocktail.
I'll play along because I've made fun of these guys. December 23rd, baby Jen was born.
Yay.
I had to think about this one. November 5th, 2004. Jen marries up. December 15th, 2005. That little boy made me a mom for the first time. We got him over to the right business, but that's an old sign. I didn't have time to fix this. November 14th, 2010, I had a second baby. And April 8th, 2011, Ashley was killed. I can still tell you exactly where I was every single step of that day. I can tell you the house that I was showing, the street I was showing. I can tell you the bedroom that I finally went and took a call because my phone continued to blow up and I'm trying to show. And I keep getting texts, and like a good agent, I ignored it. Finally, my manager at the time called for the 3rd time, and I took the call. I can tell you where I went into the family room of the house I was showing. I can tell you where I dropped to my knees and over again, and just was with clients and just called my husband and repeated, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I don't know how this happened. I remember going to the hospital. I remember sitting there, talking to police, talking to Chuck Stahl, trying to figure out what was going on, what made sense. We've all seen this picture of Ashley. It's an awesome picture. It's a headshot. We all have headshots. It doesn't really give us who we are as individuals. She was more than a real estate agent. She was more than the business she did. This is a picture after Jordana was born. The first time Ashley came and met my kids, met Jordana. My kids, she was Aunt Ashley, Uncle Eric, Aunt Ashley. She came over, gave the gifts because Ashley was amazing at gifts. This is the baby blanket that she brought from Jordana that day. I show you this and it's so silly, but it's tangible because we hear these stories. We hear Dateline. We see this. This doesn't happen. I mean, right? We see Dateline and all of a sudden you're living a Dateline where somebody you know that sits on your couch that your kids adore. She brings them pumpkins every Halloween because that's the type of person she is. I carried this blanket for weeks after she was killed because it didn't make sense and I could not make sense of this, whatever happened. My daughter this morning said, why do you have one of my baby blankets out? And we had to talk about it, and my 12-year-old says, I remember when you wouldn't tell me what happened to Miss Ashley, and I kept seeing her picture on the news. And those are crappy conversations to have, but I show you these, and I don't think I've shown, I sure haven't shown a whole room, and I keep these things kind of locked up to me. But she was a person. She wasn't just her headshot. She wasn't just an agent. This is stuff, and this is why I preach it, you guys, over and over to tell people where you're going. Go through all of that. Again, I mean, I can show you tons of pictures that make her a real person. She was a real person. A lot of the pictures we had together may not be appropriate for crowds like this, so we have to comment, but enough of that. A lot of people, after they hear a story like this, one thing that I just heard and I love it, people say, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm so sorry that this little girl passed away of cancer. I'm so sorry of this. I'm so sorry of that. Don't be sorry. Be active. Do something. Keep yourself safe. Preach to your other agents that you're around. When they have the listing safety showing form, we're going to talk about that again at the end quickly. Follow that. Make your clients, make them show you IDs. You owe it to yourself, and we owe it to our industry and our clients. Enough about all of that. Carl has some dates that I know he remembers. I'm excited for you guys to listen to him. We got the opportunity to talk with him last night. But at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you and go for it.
Good morning, everyone. Hopefully I can be loud enough. That sweet lady on the screen is my mom, Beverly Carter. We are from Arkansas, so howdy. I have all my teeth and I'm wearing shoes. So I'm very honored to be here, and as I can, I take time off from my day job and share my mom with great people like you. And I have to say that to express my condolences for the loss of Ashley. I feel like I know her because my mom and Ashley actually look a lot alike, and because they were both professionals that were killed while doing this work that we all love. There's just a lot of parallels. So I hear about Ashley almost as often as I hear about my own mom when we're talking safety. So just know that my thoughts are with you, and that she continues to shape safety across the country. As we go through this today, I really want to do a lot of what you just did, I want us to talk through my mom's story, but I also want you to know she was a real lady. The day that she was taken, we lost her in September of 2014, and the day was very eerily similar to today. Beautiful day. She had been together with a group of agents at kind of a lunch and learn, but she had to show property before she went home, and that probably applies to a lot of you today. Many of you in the room were not alive in 1983, but this is a look back in time. That's Mom and me. If it's possible, be pissed off in heaven. She's totally pissed that I'm showing you this picture. So mad. Yeah, we were buds. She was 16 when she had me, dropped out of high school, later got a GED. Because she was so young, we had a lot of really cool opportunities that parents and their kids don't always get to have, because we went to college together and I helped her with her homework. I taught her how to do some shorter distance running, so we would do 5Ks and 10Ks together. We were buds. You can go to the next one. Thank you. My mom got into real estate later in my life, and so I was kind of a real estate teenager, late teens. And like many of your kids, seeing my parent as a real estate agent, I swore that I wanted absolutely nothing to do with this industry. And now I'm a realtor, so what are you going to do? But my mom was really, she was good. You know, some people just have a knack for it. They have the resilience that is required to be so good at this business. She had so much enthusiasm about it. She was consistently within the top 10 agents in the state of Arkansas. And there are more than 10 agents in the state of Arkansas. So it really was an accomplishment. So first safety message that I want to impart to you today. This picture really symbolizes two things that made my mom a target. And what's hard to hear is that the very things that made her a target are the very things that make you a target. One, bad guy said that why Beverly? The response, and I quote, she was a rich broker that worked alone. Well, that's all of you guys. You may not have that rich part, just like I don't, and my mom didn't, but the perception of the general public is that we are so rich. Okay? The next thing is her beauty. My mom was a beautiful lady, and her picture, you know, is what we do. We market ourselves and the services that we provide. And so, while we'll never understand why Beverly specifically, we know that they saw her pictures, they saw her marketing, and they got her in their crosshairs. If you'll put the next one. I would be doing her a disservice if I didn't tell you about her favorite people. Sadly, my picture's not up there. Rude. 3 of these monsters are mine. And talk about tough conversations you have with your kids. My kids, this dude here is 16, almost 16 now. And this is my Chloe, and this is my son, Colin, who's now 4.5. And it's a really weird thing navigating these conversations. And my son, the baby was 6 months old. This picture was taken to Mom's real estate office 2 weeks to the day before she was kidnapped. And now Colin of course doesn't remember her, but he sees her picture in our house. And so my son at 4 years old, in that precious innocence, has a very weird view of not knowing someone, but seeing all these pictures and knowing that they're in heaven. And that's, none of us should have to explain to our babies the aftermath of something like this. You'll go to the next one. You can go ahead too. If we raise a little bit of awareness today, my job will be done. This is the house that my mom was taken from. This, I think the title of this slide really, it really just sums it all up, y'all. Just another house, another appointment, another showing. I told you a little bit about what that day was like for my mom. But if we can back up 2 weeks before that appointment. So any of you that maybe work in deals and you've been dealing with these buyers and these things sometimes drag out. But Mom had been, for 2 weeks, she had been phone calls, texts, and emails with the husband and wife that were relocating to Arkansas due to work. Cash buyers. Mom had talked to both husband and wife via those multiple channels. Whenever she would receive a phone call and a text, it was an out-of-area number, which matched their story that they were coming in from out of state. But what technology has changed a bit since 2014. It's kind of crazy to see how much it's changed. But I'm sure you guys have the problem that I have back home. I'm a realtor. I get a local phone call. I want to answer it. But the problem is now that these telemarketers have these spoof numbers, and so we're getting all these local calls that are actually call centers out of state. Just the opposite happened with my mom. The bad guys had downloaded an app called Text Me. It was providing them a spoof number to be the area that they say that they were relocating from, when in fact they were from just the other side of town. So if we can all kind of pause on that just quickly and just say, okay, there are a lot of things going on here from a safety perspective that I can be reminded of. Anyone can get a spoof number, telephone. Just seeing an area code or a phone number should never be any sort of an indicator of screening who a person is. Anyone with 30 seconds on their 30 seconds on their hands could go and create an email account with any name that they want. Any of us could do that today. Go create a new email account with Gmail. And another thing that we have to, and this gets a little controversial, I'll say sometimes, is whenever we're screening and whenever I know we have certain preconceived notions of what a bad guy looks like. My mom was kidnapped by a husband and wife. And automatically, whenever we deal with women, we do not associate violent crimes with women. We know y'all are crazy, but real crazy. Especially my wife. Woo! It's so great when I'm in another state. She has no idea what I'm saying. But we have to think about that. And we also have to be really careful, because you guys may not know this, but there are agents that have gotten in trouble in the past. So let's just kind of pull our fair housing out over here and think about, we're only going to screen people that sound kind of like, I'm kind of scared of big black guys, and so I'm only going to screen them. Okay, so just be careful of that, because there are some people, it's like, I appreciate that maybe you're screening, but let's be consistent here. My mom had done a number of things right related to coming up to this property. To Jen's point, she had talked this couple up with other agents. Hey guys, got these people moving in. Here's their situation. Be on the lookout for a great property for them. We all do that all the time, right? She had told my dad about all this. In that luncheon that Mom had been to that day, or that meeting, Mom had won $50 in a raffle. So this conversation, after the meeting's over, she does a little bit of work in the office. She tells people she's going to go show property to this couple. She calls my dad and has a conversation with him like probably many of you will have whenever you leave here today. Hey honey, just checking in with you. Just got out of a meeting. I'm going to go show property. By the way, I won $50 today in a raffle, so I'll pick up dinner from our favorite Mexican spot on the way home. A Thursday, y'all. It was just a regular Thursday. But what my mom didn't know, of course, is that the people on the other end of this, yes, they were a husband and wife, but they were people that wanted to hold her for ransom and get all of this perceived wealth from my family. My mom didn't know that they had profiled her. They had gone to, and this is something that you really might find eye-opening, is to go to Google and do a number of different searches related to yourself. You might be surprised what you see. Log out of Facebook and just go to Google and see if what you can see about your Facebook profile that the general public can see. Evidence was found on on the bad guy's laptop that they had done internet searches, including going to my mom's Facebook profile to help profile who she was and that they had money. And they also did what we do throughout the course of our business, is that they took her name, they went to county records, they found out the home and the property value of the home that she lived in. Further building this profile that this lady is rich. Never considering that she just worked commission to commission like all the rest of us, or most of us. My mom also didn't know, of course, that she would have never met, she would have made a lot different decisions had she known that the husband of this duo was a 7-time felon. She never would have gone had she known that one of those felonies was that he worked at the neighborhood Applebee's at one point and he was the server you never wanted, because you go in with your hard-earned money to have a meal with your family and he's got a skimmer in the back of the restaurant waiting to steal all your card information when you pay for your meal. He still had that skimmer. And so the plan was to not like out of a movie, where you kidnap this rich realtor, you get the husband to bring unmarked bills in a suitcase to the town square. No, they thought that they were going to be really sophisticated with this. This is going to be an electronic movement of money. So you kidnap a rich realtor. I know this won't make sense because criminals, God bless them, but not the brightest bunch. But so you kidnap the rich realtor, you have her purse, you use your skimmer from your previous crime, and you have the husband of this rich realtor continue to push all of the family wealth to those cards. So that was this sophisticated plan. But I want to tell you one other thing that leading up to this appointment. This house. So y'all know you've got them in the inventory right now. Your buyers are looking online, they see this house, but you know better than to waste your time to go to this house because Zillow's got a fly-looking photo, but this sucker is ugly in person. Okay? We've all been there, right? It's like, I don't know what kind of Photoshop they're doing with these photos, but false advertisement. My mom knew this. This was common area for my mom. This is lakefront property. Sorry guys, 3D. This is lakefront property, and my parents lived on the same lake. My entire family, we're familiar with this property. The property had sat vacant for years. There had been issues with squatters, and people had gotten in and ripped out all the copper, the inside. No utilities, of course. But still commonplace. We knew of this property. 3 doors down was my mom's pastor lived. But Mom knew that this house was definitely in a state of disarray and dilapidation. So it was a red flag whenever the husband called my mom and said, "Hey, we're interested in this property." And she's like, "Why?" Okay. So my mom did something, and I guarantee you your brokers would support it all the way. She was instantly faced with an awkward situation about someone wanting to see this house on the outskirts of Little Rock. So my mom made up a company policy. It wasn't a real one. She just made it up. That said, "I am so sorry, but company policy prohibits me from showing property alone in a rural area." That's good. That's quick thinking. Problem comes in, and I think this is where a lot of us would get in trouble. Certainly I would get in trouble here before knowing about, this that happened to my mom. It's the bad guy hands the phone to his wife. She gets on the phone and says, "Hey girl, I'm going to come straight from work. I'll meet you guys there. Would your company be cool with that?" Sure, let's do it. Mom says, "We'll have to meet at 6 o'clock so that we can view the house before it gets dark because there are no utilities." Everyone agrees. Appointment is set. My mom gets to this property early, makes a number of phone calls. I know you guys hear about safety all the time, but just we can pause quickly here with this, and we can think about, okay, so Carl's told me all these things, but there's not been any moments to truly screen who those people are. We just have made some assumptions on their intention because we've spoken to both husband and wife. Okay. Other things that we can be reminded of is whenever we, get to properties and we can just say, "My mom did this." We don't know. Park in a way that you can't get blocked in. Mom knew that this was problematic property, so she could get out and best she could assess if there was still an ongoing squatter issue. Everything was on the up and up. 6 o'clock, black car pulls up. It's the husband. He gets there first. And he starts in with all these excuses and apologies. "Hey, I'm sorry, my wife got caught up at work." Okay. We've all been there before too, haven't we? You end up having to show it to one or the other. But he took it a step further and he said, "My wife she really wants to see this property. So as we walk through, will you text her photos of the inside of this property and answer any questions she has? And it will be as though she's on this property tour with us, at least digitally." It's pretty smart because it kept my mom in it and it kept my mom distracted. And I just feel the need to say this. We have to be mindful whenever we're thinking safety in this industry about really two main types of behavior. And there are crimes of opportunity, and then there's this predatory type crime. And I hope that it's really my hope in two-part with telling you about my mom today. Please know, she's my best friend. I can't wait to see her again. So this is definitely not victim shaming. But my mom's death was 100% preventable. So it's always really discouraging to me to hear people, maybe after hearing me speak or tell this story, and they're like, "Well, gosh, if that was so complex, there's no way I can prevent that. It's just going to be my time to go." It's like, no. So let's not do that. Another thing that's really important to me from walking away from this today is that we not spread fear or paranoia. My mom will definitely thump me on the head for that. But this stuff is preventable. Some of it we can raise the bar. I hate this stuff. TSA hates this stuff, by the way. They're always real confused whenever I come through. Real confused. But it's a good visual, y'all. This lime green duct tape, this is what was used to bind my mother's hands behind her back, her ankles together. An entire row was wrapped around her head over her eyes and around her head over her mouth. You see, as she was up in this bedroom right here and she was taking a picture, the last photo, the last moment of her freedom, texting it to that wife. And as she turned from taking that photo, she was met with this tape, or tape like this, and a taser in her side. And the bad guy has been very proud to say over and over that the last words my mom heard of her freedom were, "You're about to have a very bad day." If your business decisions, if your screening processes have led you to the point that you are in a vacant home, in an upstairs bedroom, trapped in a corner with a taser in your side, it's game over. Y'all know it's 2018 and everybody says whatever they want to say. And I can't tell you how many people have really kind of cornered. They come right up to me. Y'all know people are bold. And they say, "I'm real sorry what happened to your mama, but she'd be alive today if she's packing heat." I agree. My mom was taken by surprise. Completely caught off guard. I tell you, it almost feels surreal. Does it still feel surreal for you to talk about Ashley? Anyway, she was a real lady and she was lovely and you all would have loved her. She was such a better person than I am. I'm just a goofball that drinks a lot. If you'll go to the next slide. Some of these guys got to see it last night. On the way from the Uber to the air, I'll just tell you this quick story. This stuff's yuck. We need a little break. So the Uber drive from the airport to the restaurant where I met some of you, I was like, oh, I hope these people are drinkers. They did not disappoint. They did not disappoint. Oh, goodness, y'all. Whew.
Oh, you want to tell them about Christmas?
No. That'll be during Q&A. Oh, y'all. You remember we just looked at the slide for a bit about that house. And if you can visualize that black car and a realtor and a young white male had been seen going into that property. Imagine seeing that young white male come out of the property, get in his car, back the car up to the front door of that house, and open the trunk. Okay? So here's another, there are safety messages throughout this entire thing, and it extends so much further than our real estate practices. You say, Carl, how'd you know all those details about the realtor going in and then the guy coming back out and turning the car around and opening the trunk? I know all of that because I heard the testimony in the trial from the next door neighbor that watched the whole thing happen but didn't tell anybody. So if there's another lesson, and maybe it's the most important lesson, who knows, whatever you can take away from today, is if you see something, say something. But that bad guy took my precious mom and put her in the trunk of his car. There are really three parts. We don't know in a lot of ways what it was like to be her, to be Beverly. She was never able to tell her story. We pull it all together from testimonies. But one thing, and one of three things I'll tell you as we go through the rest of this, is that evidence was found in the trunk of that car that she got her hands free, so she was fighting. If there's something that I can encourage you on today, and I promise you this isn't me giving reckless advice, I've heard it 100 times, is I think that there's this part of it of just going along and doing what the bad guy says, and if I do what he says, then maybe he'll let me go. Her chances of survival would have been so much higher had she fought, and maybe she did. But don't let them take you. If you find yourself in a situation, fight like hell. Don't make nice and get in the trunk of a car. And to let you know, I know you guys know that these are bad people that took my mom, but just to tell you that back to Jen's point about realizing this is a real person with a real family. But to show how these criminals don't think like that. And so before he closed the trunk on that car, with looking down on my precious mom in the trunk of that car, bound by this green tape, he pulls out his cell phone, takes a picture of my mom, and texts it to his wife. I guess in some way to just show her, to prove to her that this plan that they had to get all this money was in motion. If you'll allow me. Thank you. We were all out there at that property, and as I told you, there was no utilities. Dad had called me and he said, "Son, your mom's not answering my phone calls, and I can't get her on the phone." And of course, I'm just like any real estate kid, right? I'm just annoyed. I'm like, "Dad, she's fine. This is real estate." We end up out of that property because, of course, my mom had told him where we were going, or where she was going to show property. My dad gets out there and he finds the property is, of course, vacant. My mom's car is in the driveway, and locked inside my mom's car is her purse. So if you remember the plan that I told you about the credit card skimmer, in his haste to kidnap my mom and put her in the trunk of the car, he forgot a very important part, the purse. which is another safety concern for you ladies. And I know it's not even something feel like I have to preach about on safety, because ladies just don't show property with a purse because it's in the way. And if someone does carry with a purse on their shoulder, they probably got a pistol in there, if that's their jam. So we're sitting out, and if you've ever been through, y'all know, like when you don't have the answers to something and something seems really bad, but your mind starts trying to come up with scenarios where everything's actually okay. And so we're we're sitting out there, and it's getting later and later, and it's dark and it's cold, and we're trying to come up with scenarios that make sense for a real estate agent to have left her car, left her purse. It was a reach. We're like, okay, well, maybe it was a reach. But imagine the shock. Okay, this appointment, remember, was at 6 p.m. Imagine the shock as we're all out there and there are blue lights everywhere. And then we see, just before midnight, headlights coming. I remember seeing the car. The car is stopped. The detective asked the driver of that car if they knew anything about the disappearance of a local real estate agent. That guy that was in the car denied knowing anything, turned around and left. And we all know that was the bad guy coming back for the purse. But as with so many of these bad guys, is that they feel like they have the best plan. They won't get caught until they see blue lights, and then they do the most drastic things to keep from going to prison again. And so what he did is he went a few streets over, pulled out my mom's cell phone, turned it on, and started texting my dad. This is my dad's phone. So imagine our surprise whenever these texts start rolling in, and it's not boom, boom, boom. There's like a minute between each. And there's just this relief that mom's okay. Until this one comes in. Beverly Carter was an amazing realtor, an amazing mom, an amazing grandma, an angel among us, but she was not fun. I love you, Mom. Why am I talking so much trash today? But we can joke about it now. But if you can imagine thinking that you're talking to this person that's missing, and then the horror. Because you can't morph yourself to where that phone is. You can't, this pleading to call, to interact with. How do you engage a bad guy? You'll go to the next one. Thank you. Oh, y'all. There are a lot of points I want to make here, but y'all keep me true on time, because I will just tell me to cut it out, wrap it up. This was that appointment. My mom's body wasn't found until Tuesday, September 30th. That's what an eternity looks like, by the way. The horror of just like, maybe you lose your pet in the neighborhood and the world seems so big when you're like, God, never realized how big my neighborhood is until I'm trying to find my dog. Or how big Walmart feels whenever your kid wanders off and you're trying to find them. It's like the possibilities are just limitless. The world seems so big. And there are a few points here, and I know I'll be all over the place with it, but I wanted to point out the power of social media, both good and bad, right? We were reminded of the bad because my mom's Facebook profile was used to indeed profile her wealth. Hashtagging and social media was a great way for us to network with probably many of you in this room to get the word out about trying to find her or at least pray for her. And lastly, and this will make you groan, but it's just the truth. You want to know how I found out my mom's body had been found? Facebook. Actually, someone else had seen it on Facebook and rushed to my house, but it's the world we live in. I'll tell you, I hear it over and over, and it's certainly true for me. When people ask me, how's real estate? How do you like it? And I'm like, what's your biggest challenge in real estate? And I always unreservedly say, love me some real estate. It's got its ups and downs. Number one, the largest challenge for me personally is other agents. I just want you to do it now. And that's always a challenge for me. But I'll tell you one thing about the people in this room is that whenever we all need to have each other's backs, boy, we rally better than we have our infighting and deals get wonky. But man, when we need to come together, we do in a mighty way. So it's great. This is just soybean fields out by where Mom was taken, and so I have memories of, they're just some of the most beautiful women in the world are real estate agents, and just walking through these murky soybean fields, arm in arm, trying to find any evidence of my mom. If you'll go to the next one. My mom was 50 years old. I think part of the reason why my mom's story resonates with people is because she was the average realtor. Female, 50. I think her beauty adds some of it, but I think people can see how kind she was. This was her 50th birthday party. This is my dad on the left. They were married almost 35 years when she was kidnapped. I keep meaning to crop the photo, but that dude on the right's my brother. He also has his real estate license. And people are like, is that weird, like your brother being a competitor? And I'm like, he's not a competitor. I got that all crossed. Oh, I told you there are 3 parts of this story of my mother's actions that my mother took that inspire me daily. First was the fight in the trunk of that car, getting her hands free, that I know of. The second was this: when she was taken, they took her and they made her do the first of what would have been a series of ransom recordings, videos that would be distributed to my dad demanding the money. And she did the first one, and then they took her and locked her up in the bathroom of their home. And my dad's name's Carl also. And so the words that she spoke to my dad in that first ransom recording that was actually never delivered to my dad, or sent to my dad, it was played during the interrogation process. But the words she spoke to him is, "Hey Carl, it's me. I just want to let you know I'm okay. I haven't been hurt. Just do what he says and don't call the cops. If you call the cops, it could get bad. Just want you to know that I love you very much." And I think that that's powerful. I can't imagine the fear that she felt, but she was still concerned with this man knowing how loved he was, and that inspires me a lot. So you can tell from the photo, my mom loved pink, so everything we do with the foundation, we try to add in her favorite color, so she's always somewhat of a part of it. If you'll go to the next one for me. This is where my mom took her last breath. This is also where the bad guys buried my mom. Third thing that I'll tell you is that my sweet mom, first was the fight, second was the love, and third was her faith in God. And whenever the bad guy left the wife to guard the bathroom door, mom's locked in their master bathroom, and he gives his wife a handgun and he says, guard this door. And she testified in the trial that she never interacted with my mom, but that she is haunted by the entire time her husband was gone to go attempt to get that purse. She's haunted by remembering what it was like to listen to my mom pray all that time. And I think that inspires me. She's a bad mama jamma. When they realized that, oh no, the cops are moving in, how is it that people knew where this realtor was going to be? How they made this big jump, this big leap to let's just end her life and pretend like none of this ever happened. And so what they did is just my mom there in her physical being, they just took everything of value that they could take. It makes sense that they would take her jewelry. But these people thought so little of her that they also took most of the articles of clothing, God bless you, that my mom was wearing. The shirt that my mom was wearing showing property that day was found hanging in the closet of the wife's. Like, if that just goes to show, you could wear the shirt of a lady that you murdered. They brought her out here and left her for a number of hours in a state of half dress, alive, on top of this ground. And knowing whenever they were coming back that they were going to end her life. The wife at the last minute chickens out. She says, I want to be let out at a gas station that's about 2 blocks away. This is an old, rarely used concrete plant of sorts where they clean out the trucks and store the trucks. So 2 blocks away, her husband drops her out at the gas station, and from the time that it takes him to drop her off and drive 2 blocks, maybe 3, to the backside of this concrete plant, he gets a text from his own wife that says, this is edited, why don't you just screw her before you kill her? And I don't tell you that necessarily just from a shock, but one, it's just the horror that these people walked among us. At one point, this dude worked at the Applebee's. My day job, so I have a day job that I take vacation from to travel when I can. And I've been there for 20 years, right out of high school. And Little Rock, I want you to keep in mind, Little Rock's not small. I mean, it's about 300,000 people. But the eeriness of this story, and it did end up just being coincidence. But not only did this guy work at one point at the Applebee's and at Burger King, but at my day job, the wife worked with me. And so it's just eerie to know, we walked the same halls. We took the same ethical training. But he came back, and I don't deal well with this detail, but just so you know, and we'll just move on quickly. The same tape that was used to abduct my mom, he began applying strips of this to her face and wrapping it around her head until she could no longer breathe. And my sweet mom lost her life due to suffocation. We did go to trial. I'll just tell you just a little bit. Because that Text Me app that they had used for the spoof number was based in the United States, the FBI and AT&T were able to route to the correct phone number, which led to the wife's phone. The next door neighbor, when he was questioned about what he saw at the showing, he described a young white male with a black car, of course, and so they saw that the wife had a husband that met the description and also the car, and from there it just kind of unraveled. The husband was on the run from the law, literally on foot, stole a car. It was a lender that ended up just so happened to be looking out their window and saw the bad guy on foot. I mean, it's just also crazy. But we did end up in trial. And the wife, for her truthful testimony against her husband, received 30 years with the possibility of parole in 21. So in about 19 years, she will be up for parole. And of course, I will be there if I'm still around. The husband received 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole for capital murder and for kidnapping. And just for any of you that might care, I always get a lot of questions about death penalty and such on this. So we chose not to go that route just because the way our nation's going, it's really hard to get a death penalty conviction. My dad didn't want that necessarily on his conscience. So anyway, it was multifaceted. Why we chose not to go that route. You'll go to the next one. Let's go again. Okay, I'm just going to quickly hit on these, and I know that these are so high level, but it's so important. Screening those that we know. We know that my mom would not have met alone, or the potential of being alone with a 7-time felon. I told a story last night at dinner about this need to slow down, because it's, during my time as an agent now, coming up on 2 years, I have never felt unsafe. Okay, I haven't had an experience that I felt my safety had been compromised. However, I have felt, and I'm sure we can all identify, do you ever kind of look around sometimes and you're like, it's not that I don't feel safe, but I feel incredibly vulnerable. Open house, for one, right? And so I was telling them last night, it's like not all that long ago, and this happened to my mom. I'm showing property, husband and wife, and the husband goes, man, this attic is amazing. And I was like, oh, sweet, here I come. And so I'm like looking at this attic with this husband, and I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Do you really care so much about what this attic looks like? So it's just slowing down. The next thing is that on this, I know everybody that talks safety talks about this God-given instinct that we have, but the point that I want to make with it is we all know that day, whenever the husband showed up alone with the excuses of the wife couldn't be there, my mom had that feeling right here. We know she did. But because, for a lot of reasons, right, she decided to stay in it. She didn't want to be rude. The guy had a pretty, an excuse that made sense. So I hope, if nothing else, I hope that, maybe you can take this, and even if you cut off the bottom part and just kind of keep this handy, and you can consider my mom a friend, I hope, and you can think about her, and you can feel more empowered to get the heck out of Dodge if someone makes you feel uncomfortable. Or you can assess these situations a little bit differently, and because we all know that house was not the best house. There was nothing in there to steal. My mom could have stayed outside, right? And so can you. So we can think through these things. But I hope you feel more empowered than ever to stay safe. If you'll go to the next one. So they're going to talk a little bit more about pledge, I think, whenever I finally hush. But these are just quick things, so I don't want to steal anyone else's thunder. But you guys know, this applies to every person in the room, that there are just certain inherent risks associated with the work that we do. So, by the way, and if you guys want to, I have an app that I use. It's a pay app, which isn't exciting, but I have an app that I use for screening. So if any of you guys are interested in seeing it, it's pretty sweet. And I have some friends that are kind of in the dating scene now, and so I help them before they go on dates. They're like, hey, will you give homeboy a good screening? And I'm like, sure will. And it was a little eerie because, like, a couple weeks ago, she's like, hey, run this phone number. This guy wants to take me on a date. And his criminal history came back, a couple of assault charges. So, not today. So, anyway, I'd be happy to show that to you guys. Pretty cool stuff. Open houses. I have this, y'all know how open houses are. I've got some really cool ideas. Well, I'll have to come back next year and we'll talk about how I do open houses. That it's been great for me. If you'll go to the next. following that instinct, and then the buddy system, of course. But I'll be the first to admit, one of something that we're studying right now, and we're working with a couple of different brokerages, is setting up systems to where at least we all know within an office, kind of at least electronically, where each of us are. Because if we're honest, we can say, "Oh yeah, you're like, I'll be your buddy. You want to go show property? Just give me a call anytime." But what's going to happen when you call me? You're going to talk to my voicemail, and I'm never going to call you back. Right? We're busy, right? My wife and my brother are real estate agents, and I wish they would ask me to hold an open house with them. I got stuff to do, right? It's just not going to happen. So we have to get a little bit creative in how we approach these buddy systems so we can be real. All right. Next, please. All right. I did not create a nonprofit because or based entirely on the loss of my mom. I created a nonprofit in her name because what would happen is I would have amazing opportunities to come talk to agents like this, and at the conclusion of those sessions, 1, 2, 3, 4 agents would come up and they would share stories with me on times that they were victimized. And if I felt, that it wouldn't be awkward, I'd say, "Well, did you report that? Did you make a police report? Did you tell your broker?" "Well, no, because I shouldn't have gone into the room first," or insert all these excuses where people blame themselves and felt embarrassed. Just before I founded the nonprofit in January 2017, I had an agent in Missouri come up to me, and tears in her eyes, or tears streaming actually, and she told me that 2 weeks prior, showing property, she had been raped while showing the property. She felt so much shame for not going through, proper protocol to screen this guy that she blamed herself. She hadn't reported to law enforcement, and she hadn't even told her own husband that she'd been raped. Real estate's all I've ever known. I don't. So this is my livelihood. I'm good at it, and now I'm facing this. So I'm telling y'all, I've been fired up since then. And so it's a nonprofit that is all about education and awareness. And when we do find out about people that have been victimized, we work to get them in touch with local resources such as mental health, and then also provide financial support to them. So anyway, I love it. Follow us, engage with us. Would love that. If you'll go to the next slide for me. If you're going to be in Boston for NAR Annual in November, we're going to have a booth and a lot of fun stuff going on, so I hope to see you there. And also, if you're going to be there, there's a 5K the Saturday morning of that, and so we will have a Beverly Carter Foundation race. I've been training to be in the top 10, so prepare to lose. So. If you go to the next slide. This is the last slide. I'm sorry I talk so much. So you guys know I'm a runner, and I used to force my kids to run with me, but now it's just not worth it. Kind of the deal breaker for me was like whenever they would take their phones with them. It's like, dude, we're on a run in the neighborhood. You really need your phone? And then the last straw was my daughter pulled up the Uber app. It's like, Dad, we can get an Uber in 1 minute, and then we don't have to run back home. I was like, we're done here. You kids be fat. I don't care. I'm kidding. But we used to have this thing that we would do, and they were sweet and young and would run with me. And every time we saw one of Mama's listings, which, by the way, this has been photoshopped. Our signs are a little different than this, but we would stop and we'd take a picture and we would post it on our Facebook wall or text her. And so this was the Thursday before. This was 1 week and 19 minutes prior to that 6 p.m. appointment where my mom was kidnapped. We put this on my mom's Facebook wall. And I tell you guys, I think that part of why I'm able to do this and share this horrible story and not lose my mind is because I know here that she knew how loved she was, and I have a lot of peace in that. The last thought that I want to leave you with is if we can allow this picture with my mom's sign and my kids to be a little symbolic for a moment. And let this sign, if this sign is representative of everything that you're doing, and the reason that you're here today is because you care about your career and the empire that you're building for the betterment of yourself and your family. So you're doing all of this great effort, but I just hope that in some small way, my words have made you a little bit more mindful of the people that are on the periphery of that career that need you to get home safely each day. It's truly been an honor to be with you guys. I hope I haven't been too silly. Y'all take care. God bless.
Stuff again. I had sent this to Carl when we started talking about doing this event. Hopefully all of you know that DMAR has a safety pledge that we put together, I don't know how many years ago, but Carl actually shared that in some of his talks he does, he actually shows the DMAR safety pledge. So as of today, I think there's 726 rough agents that have signed that in DMAR out of a total of
2,300.
So we're still falling short of that. If there's anyone in this room that has not read the safety pledge, does not understand what our safety pledge means, I'm always happy to sit down and talk to you about it for a few minutes. But it's simple, because I owe it to myself, my family, my colleagues, and my clients to implement safe showing practices. I pledge to not show any home to a stranger without first meeting them in the office or at a public place or asking them to submit identification. Again, please sign this. I think we are going to have a couple of computers up that you guys can sign it. If someone has not signed it, let me know if you need that. Can you go to, do you have the other stuff on me? I am constantly infuriated, saddened. I can go on and on and on when I talk to people that are unaware of our listing safety form. This was part of the safety pledge again. You should be talking to every single seller that you have about this. I think actually, I'm not really sure who maybe pushed this, but I believe that it is now a required form before you submit your listing. Sorry about that, not sorry. So you need to go through this with your sellers. It pretty much just goes through, obviously they're inviting strangers into their house. They're listing their house. Shocking. You have to show your house if you want to sell your house. Once in a while I have sellers that don't always get that. So this just goes through, again, lock up your valuables, personal information, medications, weapons. It also allows them to choose that they hereby request their property only be shown to prospective buyers who have been properly identified. This shows up on our matrix. If you do not care about your own safety, I again will continue to preach at you, but you have a professional requirement. If a seller says, do not show my house to a buyer who has not been identified, we are required to follow that. So you need to be checking every single listing and making sure if it says that, you follow that. That's what the seller has asked us to do. Most sellers are shocked that this is even something they have to request. They think that this is something that we do. So again, that's on every single listing. Follow that. It also gives you a really great tool to make someone else be the bad guy. I've told my kids, I'm always happy to be the bad guy if you don't want to do something you're feeling comfortable. My mom won't let me say it. In here, the seller says that I cannot show you the home unless I have your identification. You come into the office, I know. It's that easy. And if all of us do this, it follows through on the thing. So please use that form. I think we have one more slide. Again, please pull out your phones. Hopefully all of you are signed up for the safety alerts that we have out there. So I know we had one again a couple of days ago that somebody was sending creepy texts. Again, it is to empower you that you have the knowledge that you can run your business the way you want to. But please put these in your phone so that if you are out somewhere and come across a situation, number one, call the police. Number one. Second, please notify this number or this email with what is going on so that as DMAR, we can send that out to, so that people are aware. I don't know if Chrissy is getting random things from some guy and that same guy texts me. We have to share. We are, as you say, agents kind of rally around each other. We have to rally around one another. So please put this in your phone, then it's there. Also, then when you receive an alert, it pops up and says, DMAR Safety Alert, if you have it in there. I think that is it. Do you have any questions? Do you have time? If anyone has any questions for Carl or on our safety pledge or anything like that? Yes.
If I'm navigating right now to do the safety pledge or just to verify whether I've done it, is it something that you go in through the MLS or you go through DMAR?
Go to DMAR website, good question, and then at the top there is a safety button, and then if you scroll down it will say safety pledge, and you can sign up right there. It will allow you to look to see if you have signed up on there. On that website too, under the safety tab, there are the videos that DMAR has made. What does an identified buyer mean? How to show vacant homes? What is the safety pledge? Those are great little 2-3 minute videos that you can go out and watch anytime, show them at team meetings, anything that you guys have going on. Again, if you need any of that, we're happy to pull it up. Yes?
We're going to look into it. We were just talking about that. So, yes.
Do you want to share what app you use?
Oh, yeah. So I'll just, I like to keep it separate just so that it doesn't seem, this is just a Carl endorsement. This is not a foundation endorsement. But so it's an app called Forewarn, Forewarn. And you have to be a licensed agent to be able to get it. So you have to kind of prove that, you have to show your license and all that. So it's actually super simple. So when it comes up and once I log in, it just has a spot where I copy and paste the phone number that the person from whoever's just called me. So honestly, back to that point earlier that I was talking about, like getting these local calls, is it actually someone that would, we need to call back? I can see if it's a real number, a real person or not. I just copy and paste the phone number in there. And what this does is it brings back every person that's ever had that phone number. So at the top, this says that Carl L. Carter Jr., age 37, gives my address. It gives my address, every phone I've ever had, every address I've ever lived, my criminal record, my bankruptcy record, every vehicle I've ever owned, and every my property records. So this kind of that point of showing for friends that are dating. Granted, I think technically because I have to prove that I'm an agent to get this, I think we're technically just supposed to use it for work. But don't mess with my friends. That's it. I use it all day, every day. It's great.
Anyone else?
All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Lindsay, Maria, do you want to give a quick rundown on Concepts Cares?
Yes, real quick, because I know we're short on time. Tomorrow is the blood drive at the Vista office from 11 to 4. We have a ton of appointments still left in the afternoon, so if you want a work-related reason to head out west and get blood, help save a life. Any of us that have had family or friends that have been in a medical situation that have required a blood transfusion understand how important the simple act of just giving blood is. And
There will be food.
there will be food if you're there around lunchtime. Our taco is going to be catering. So on our social media pages, there's a link if you want to sign up, you want to have a reserved time. Otherwise, just come hang out. We'll have some tailgate games. And if you would like to wear red and gold or black and gold, that would be fun too, in preparation for the game. Secondly, if you have seen our emails coming out lately, we're doing all of our apparel as an online store now. And so if you are looking to purchase some Concepts gear, you can do that. A portion of we get a portion of the sales come back to the foundation, so that equips us to be able to do some more things out there in the community. We do have some samples of some of the stuff that is currently on the fall store, and coming up in October we'll be launching a year-round store, which will have some more seasonal, non-seasonal items that you can purchase as well. So stop, Emily will be out at the table if you'd like to touch, feel. I know when you're ordering clothes, sometimes it's good to actually feel what you're going to be getting. So we'll have that. And then finally, for all of our commission pledgers, we have these cute little signs now that you can put in the yards of your listings that let everybody else know that you are contributing a portion of your commission towards our foundation. Our commission pledgers each will get one complimentary sign just because we love you and we're so grateful for your support. But we also have some additional ones if you would like to purchase a whole mitt full or a trunk full, depending on what your situation is, that we do have those available for additional purchase as well. And Emily can help you today if you'd like to take some. We can do cash and carry, or we can arrange for pickup later at the Vista office. So
They come with eggs.
and they come with stakes. They're double-sided, so you can put them in a flower bed, you can put them out at the street side with your sign, whatever you want to do. But thank you for your support. Without you, we couldn't do all the things in the community that we have the honor to do on your behalf. So thank you very much.
How much are those?
The additional signs will be $10. And if you are looking to purchase a number of them as a bulk order, we can probably cut you a deal. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Maggie, you got a couple of dates you want to share before we run off?
Next week's Wednesday, September 12th. Is anyone going to next week going to the convention? Anybody? In Ames. It's close this year. We're having a happy hour from 4 to 7 at the Iowa Stater, I believe is what it's called, at the Gateway Hotel where the convention is happening. So if you're there and up for the convention, we'd love to see you. That's 4 to 7 on Wednesday the 12th.
Invites on the table.
Yeah, there's more details about it on the table there. Our next breakfast is October 4th. We'll have Blue Compass back. As you recall, we've had them the last 2 years in the fall, so we'll get to hear some stuff about digital marketing. And then I think I might have said at the last breakfast, but just want to reiterate that we saved the date for November 24th, Saturday after Thanksgiving. We're going to have our family movie theater day again. So we have a whole theater rented out at Flick's Brew House for you and your families, and we're going to watch Ralph Wrecks the Internet. I believe it is Wreck-It Ralph, the second movie, I think. So it was such a blast last year, so we hope you all can come. I think that's it. Then also Michelle, just a reminder I just wanted you to remind everyone about all the awesome training out.
No, just wanted to give you an update. Since August 15th, we have been able to give you 434 free CEU credits, including Law Update and Ethics, which we're really excited about. And coming up on the calendar in the next 2 months, there are almost 60 elective credits available and another round of Law Update and Ethics. So Becca did an awesome video. If you don't have the training calendar in your Google Calendar, you can watch the video on how to add that in. Otherwise, follow Concepts Real Estate School on Eventbrite, and then every time a new class comes up, you get a notification. So thanks for coming to all of those classes, because we're glad to be able to provide that to you.
And like our Facebook page.
And like the Facebook page.
Okay, thank you very much. Just as a quick update, the app that Carl was just talking about, we are exploring that as an opportunity to present either the application for you or as a company group for a discount. So we'll look into that because it sounds like it's valuable and that people appreciate that. So we will look into that as part of our safety going forward. Okay? We love having you here. We appreciate that you're with us. We don't take that lightly. You mean a lot to us, all of us, and for our staff and our owners, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming today.